Associates. We analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Broadcasting from coast to coast,
city to city, coast to coast.
It's time for the Ryan Hickey Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If it's happening in sports, it's being talked about right here. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Thursday morning, and welcome in to the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We are back. Hopefully you had a very enjoyable, fun, relaxing Memorial Day weekend. That is why I was not on the show on Monday. A very fun weekend for yours truly. Hopefully it was the same for you as well. So a belated happy Memorial Day weekend. And man, do we have a lot going on. Yesterday was a pretty boring sports day, wasn't it? Coach K retires, 4 NBA playoff games, 3 NBA teams unfortunately eliminated from the playoffs, one of those being unfortunately my New York Knicks. So much going on, and we have you covered here for the next 2 hours as we go until 9 a.m., 11 a.m. Eastern, every single Monday and Thursday right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Periscope. We are all over the digital platform. Make sure you're checking us out on all those different platforms because we're everywhere on the digital stream. As a reminder, we're coming to you live, as we always are, from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios, where it's great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners. Check out a location near you at BigItalyPizza.com. And a lot to get into today, like we said. 2 teams to me on a collision course for the finals. We'll tell you which 2 teams they are. Bucks, Nets, a massive, massive second-round series will start on Saturday. Since obviously we won't be on the air before the series starts, to give you my prediction. 2 reasons I think the Bucks will take down the Nets. The most impressive part of Coach K's career. We'll do that at 9:40 Eastern. But I do want to start with some action last night, some NBA action from last night, because I'm not doing my part exactly here. So if you're looking at the stream, I am wearing a navy blue crew neck right now. I'm not wearing black, but I should be, because this opening segment is a funeral. We are laying to rest today the championship hopes in Los Angeles. The Clippers, the Lakers are dead. It is over. Put your championship hopes, if you're a Clippers fan, forget even championship hopes actually, put your hopes of just making the Western Conference Finals for the first time in team history, put that to rest. And for the Lakers trying to repeat as champions, back to back, we could put also those to rest. It is a funeral here to start the Ryan Hickey Show. Usually we're upbeat, usually we're excited, usually we're positive. We are going to start on a negative note because for me, the Lakers 2 nights ago, losing Game 5 to the Suns. The Clippers last night losing Game 5 to the Mavericks. That's it. Neither the Clippers nor the Lakers are overcoming their 3-2 deficit to win this series. I think both of their seasons are done. And it's not just me saying that. History has been a great barometer for this as well. When a series is tied 2-2 heading to Game 5, the winner of Game 5 goes on to win the series 82% of the time. A pretty good sample size. And not to mention, when you look at the actual record, the team winning Game 5 in a series that's tied 2-2, they are 174-37. That's how you get the 82%. So if the Clippers want to advance to round 2, if the Lakers want to keep their repeat hopes alive, they're going to have to make history. They're going to have to do something only 18% of teams have ever done. Only 37 teams so far have ever done in NBA playoff history. And that is overcome a 3-2 deficit when they lose Game 5 series tied 2-2. And I don't think the Lakers are going to do so. I don't think the Clippers are going to do so. Let's start with the Lakers. For me, why I am burying their chances, why I am kind of attending their funeral for their 2020-2021 season, is because they don't have a chance without their most important player. And I know LeBron is on the court. Obviously, he's playing. But I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Anthony Davis. As we've seen this year and throughout the playoffs, the Lakers go as Anthony Davis goes. Right now, after losing Game 5, they are 1-7 this season when AD is out, LeBron is in, and they're playing a playoff caliber team. 1-7 combined in the regular season and postseason now. When AD doesn't play, LeBron does play against the playoff team. Not good. And as we saw just in the small sample size here of 5 games in this series so far against the Suns, every game bears that out. Game 1, you had Anthony Davis that couldn't hit water from a boat. To use a baseball analogy, he couldn't hit the ball if it was on a tee in front of him. He was awful, missing every shot from the field. DeAndre Ayton outplayed him. DeAndre Ayton was the best big man on the floor in game number 1. That is a massive issue for the Lakers. And guess what? As we know, the Lakers lost Game 1. But what happened? To AD's credit, he bounced back. He came back motivated in Game 2 and Game 3. And vintage AD, vintage bubble Anthony Davis came to play in Games 2 and 3, scored 34 points in each of those 2 games. And guess what? The narrative quickly shifted to the Lakers are going to make a deep run in the playoffs. A lot of people were believing the Lakers were back. AD is looking great. All of a sudden now, after a bad Game 1, he is back. The Suns obviously can't slow him down. And if you can't slow Anthony Davis down, Suns are going to have a hard time winning this series. Games 2 and 3 gave, I think, a lot of people hope and confidence that not only the Lakers are going to win this series against the Suns, they're going to make a deep postseason run. But as we know, unfortunately for Anthony Davis, another injury comes up. Story of his career, hurts his groin right before the half of game number 4, misses the second half. Suns going to win Game 4, completely blow the doors off the Lakers in game number 5. Total no-show from LA. And now we are sitting here, Lakers at home, season on the line, down 3-2, and their best player, Anthony Davis, maybe he's going to play tonight. Questionable. And here's the thing. Anthony Davis is not the one that's going to be making this decision whether he's going to play or not. He said yesterday, it's going to be up to the medical staff whether he is able to play on the groin or not. And as we know, I'll ask this question, even if he does play, even if he suits up tonight for game number 6, how effective can he be? And Anthony Davis was talking about yesterday. Everything starts from the groin. Whether you want to run straight ahead, whether you want to run laterally, whether you want to make a cut, whether you want to jump, it all kind of starts with the groin. The groin is involved in one way or another. You can't make a move and try to, like you would maybe with a knee injury or an ankle injury or a hamstring injury, walk in a way or move in a way where you can kind of take it easy and take some pressure off that injury. You can't do that with the groin. So even if he does play tonight, even if the medical staff does clear him to allow to play, I don't think he's going to be that effective. I don't think he's going to really have that big of an impact, and that is not good for LA. And even the bigger issue, too, because not just with Anthony Davis' injury, we've seen LeBron James plenty of time in elimination games, in games where his team is up against the wall, back against the wall. LeBron James has gone hero mode. He has put the team on his back. He has done everything. Passing the ball, rebounding the ball, scoring the ball, playing great defense. Right? We've seen it time and time again. The issue, though, and the bigger issue for the Lakers, not just AD's health, but also the fact that now LeBron nursing an ankle injury, he is not 100%. He might not even be 75%. So now with his ankle injury, he can't go hero mode. He can't take the Lakers and put him on his back without AD in there to keep the season alive. To me, Game 5 said it all. The Lakers we saw in Game 5, I think are the Lakers we'll see today. Maybe a little more fight. I hope a little more spirit. That team folded up quick. But with LeBron's injury coupled with the fact that either Anthony Davis is going to miss the game or if he plays, I don't think he's going to be that effective. That is why I am calling curtains on the Lakers season. I think this series ends tonight. Lakers season done. Rest in peace. The hope of trying to repeat as NBA champions. Now for the Clippers on the other side, the other LA team. Whew, man. Clippers are gonna Clipper, aren't they? Another opportunity last night. Take a stranglehold of this series against the Mavs. A back and forth series. Every road team so far winning every game. Mavericks taking 2 in LA. Then LA going down to Dallas. Clippers winning the next 2. There was a chance last night at home for the Clippers to take a stranglehold of the series. And not only did they lose the game, they gave it away. They absolutely gave it away. And that disinterest that we saw in Game 1, and especially in Game 2, where there's an indifference on defense, there's not much intensity, it doesn't even look like they frankly care. That bubbled up to the surface again in Game 5. Now look, the story, in case you missed the game last night, in case you did watch the game and now you're waking up this morning early with us, we appreciate it. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here every Monday, every Thursday on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Luka Doncic was incredible. Luka Doncic will get a lot of the attention this morning. 42 points, 14 assists, 8 rebounds. The Mavericks only scored last night 6 buckets in which Luka didn't score himself or didn't assist on. He was the team. With that said, he struggled mightily in the fourth quarter. In the postgame interview, he called his play in the fourth quarter frankly terrible. And you know what? He's not wrong. Mavericks as a team made just 5 field goals in the fourth quarter. So despite the fact that they went to the fourth up by 17 points, they couldn't put the Clippers away. And the Clippers, frankly, didn't want to take the game away from them. There was a few times here in the fourth quarter where this game was there for LA's and they didn't take it. Again, going to start the fourth down 17 with an incredible third quarter run from Luka Doncic himself, what it felt like for the Mavericks. The Clippers cut it down to 4 points with just 4 minutes left. Got the momentum. Crowd is behind them, kind of encouraging them. A great defensive team, right? Paul George, all defensive, candidate. Same thing with Kawhi Leonard, one of the best all on-ball defenders in the NBA. And despite the fact that they had the momentum, they cut it down from 17 to 4. Boom, right away. As soon as they get it to 4, bang, back-to-back threes from the Mavericks. Go right up by 10. And then, okay, they rebound from that. Down 10, they get it to 1. Kawhi Leonard and 1. They get it to 1 with 40 seconds left. And not only did they get it to 1 with 40 seconds left, they even caused a turnover. Luka Doncic with a bad pass. The Clippers got what they wanted. 2 shots. Couldn't convert. You had a missed layup from Nick Batum after the free throws were made to make it a 3-point game. Kawhi Leonard from the corner. Bad 3-point attempt. Forced 3-point attempt. Under 10 seconds left. Misses that. And now the Clippers go down 3-2 heading to Dallas. And really the thing is, the Clippers to me let this game get away. But that's who they are though. They are the worst team in terms of clutch offense in the NBA. So for me, they inspire zero confidence that they can win 2 games in a row in this series. I know they just did it down in Dallas. But again, game 2, sense of urgency wasn't there. Game 5, to make up for it, sense of urgency wasn't there. Curtains to the Clippers' playoff hopes, because to me, they're done. Down 3-2 to the Mavs. Lakers down 3 to the Suns. I don't think either of the LA teams are making it to the second round. Something that I thought was impossible. Impossible. Not even before the season started. How about just before the postseason started? I was on the Lakers bandwagon. I was really on the Clippers bandwagon. I picked them to go to the finals. And now we're sitting here 2 weeks later, eulogizing Los Angeles basketball because the season is over. It's done. So I'm curious, do you agree? Do you agree that the Clippers are done, down 3-2, that the Lakers are done, down 3-2? Or can any of those two teams fight back, make history, do something only 18% of teams in NBA history have done, which is tie 2-2, lose game 5, then still win the series? 137-34 is the 174 and 137. 174 and 37 is the record of teams winning game 5 with the series tied 2-2 to go on and win the series. 82% to do some math there. Very, very rare does it happen. Now, I don't think it's happening for the Lakers. I don't think it's happening for the Clippers. I think both of those teams are losing in the first round. So love to hear your thoughts. Facebook, you can get involved right in the live stream, which is at Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, make sure you're following us at WWSRN_radio. At Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter is where you can find the live stream of the show. Either platform, either handle works. Type in right there on Twitter your thoughts. Can the Clippers overcome a 3-2 deficit? Can the Lakers overcome a 3-2 deficit? Or their season's done, kaput, over, put a fork on them? I'm saying yes. So love to hear your thoughts. Again, Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show as well. And when we return, speaking of the finals, right, because I predicted the Clippers to go to the finals. I predicted the Lakers to go very deep into the playoffs. We're on a collision course for 2 teams to make the finals, in large part because of injuries. I'll tell you which 2 teams we're looking like we're going to get a finals matchup when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better. And kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, going until 11 a.m. Eastern on this Thursday morning. So the first round of the NBA playoffs, we're starting to head towards the home stretch, right? You have Game 6 tonight, Suns-Lakers. That series will wrap up this week. Clippers-Mavs just played Game 5 last night. They will wrap up this series later on this week. So we are now starting to wrap up the first round of the playoffs and head towards round 2 and head deeper into the playoffs. So far, heading into the postseason now after round 1 being almost complete, to me, we are on a finals collision course for 2 teams, the Utah Jazz and the Milwaukee Bucks. And a large reason for that, the main reason for that in my mind, is because the unfortunate story of the postseason so far has been injuries. Look at all these injuries we have suffered, or we have seen major players suffer either in the postseason or leading into the postseason. Anthony Davis, as we know, hurt everywhere, Achilles, knee, but main injury now keeping him out is his groin. LeBron James, as we know, not 100% with that ankle. Chris Paul hurt his shoulder Game 1 of that series. Joel Embiid, unfortunately, small meniscus tear. We'll see what his status is when he can play. It's day to day, but who knows with a small meniscus tear when he can get on the court again, how effective he'll be. Luka Doncic, despite looking pretty damn good last night, dealing with a nerve in the neck. Jaylen Brown, as we know, close to the postseason, hurt his wrist, out for the remainder of the postseason, despite the fact that Celtics are already done. Jamal Murray, a month ago, tore his ACL. All of these players are on teams that either had finals expectations or were in the mix. To me, the 2 teams that are perfectly able to now capitalize on these injuries to make it run to the finals are the Utah Jazz and the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's look at the Jazz, because this is the team that's getting healthier despite teams getting more injured. Now, again, this is assuming, because last night Mike Conley didn't play in the second half with a little hamstring injury, said his hamstring was sore, and trying to incite at least extra rest. And because the game was a blowout in game number 5, that's why they were kind of precautious with Mike Conley. So assuming that this injury isn't more serious than it already is, the Jazz are getting healthier. Look, Donovan Mitchell returned after missing Game 1, after missing 17 total games with a sprained ankle injury. He returned for the last 4 games in the series. Jazz went 4-0. In those 4 games, he averaged 28.5 points per game. Not much rust. Not much of a learning curve. Came in, played well right away. And since Mitchell returned to the lineup in the 4 games that the Jazz played against the Grizzlies, all 4 of them wins. In terms of postseason teams, the Jazz are second in terms of points per game, 127. Second in 3-point field goal percentage, shooting 45% as a team. Second in offensive rating. So when you look at how the Jazz have played a lot better since Mitchell returned to the lineup, how he has looked good since returning to the lineup, and then when you look at the rest of the Western Conference, I just told you, to me, the Lakers are done. They're not overcoming a 3-2 series deficit with AD having an injured groin, LeBron James having an injured ankle. Suns are really good. I'm a little worried about their postseason inexperience, not to mention the Chris Paul shoulder injury I think will come back to bite them. Nuggets were a final contender until the Jamal Murray torn ACL injury. I can't trust the Clippers, and I just told you, along with the Lakers, I think the Clippers' postseason is done. And Luka Doncic, again, dealing with a nerve in the neck injury. We saw how it affected him game 3 and game 4. He is playing like one of the best players in the postseason so far. But if that neck keeps on kind of flaring up, that could cause issues. Not to mention, I don't really trust the Mavericks defensively to be able to slow down the Jazz. So you look at the rest of the West. It is opening up perfectly for the Utah Jazz. Obviously, the number 1 seed. Best record in the NBA. I'm not sure how many people were picking them to go to the finals. But now as you look, I wasn't even picking them to go to the finals. I thought the Clippers would take them down in round number 2, to be honest. When you look at the rest of the West, you look how the Jazz have played since Donovan Mitchell's injury or return from injury. This team is going to the finals. Barring injury, barring an epic, really bad, brutal, season-ending blow. This team is going to the finals. It is opening up perfectly for the Jazz to make a finals run, represent the West. In the East, the Joel Embiid injury, to me, changes the entire trajectory of the Eastern Conference. Now, full disclosure, just like the Jazz, I didn't pick the Bucks to go to the finals from the East. I had the Sixers making it out because of Embiid's play, and also, frankly, their road was easier. Look, Embiid would have won the MVP if he wasn't hurt this year, right? 4th in the NBA in terms of points per game, averaged 28.5 points per game. He had career highs this year, field goal percentage, 3-point field goal percentage. Again, injuries were the only thing that was really hampering him. Not that he came to the postseason with a ton of injuries, but again, just more missing games in the regular season is why he's not the MVP. But he's playing the best basketball of his career heading into the playoffs. That was the main reason. And honestly, when you look at the road the Sixers had, it was easier than what the Nets and the Bucks have to go through. Look, they had the first-round series against the Wizards. The only reason that series went 5 games was because Embiid got hurt and left the second half of Game 4. If he didn't get hurt, the Sixers are closing that game out in 4. Pretty easy series as well. There wasn't too many stressful points for the Sixers in those 5 games. So the Wizards, obviously, they just eliminated last night. Now they're going to play the Hawks. Hawks have played well. They were a lot tougher, honestly, than I expected going against the Knicks. Their defense was better. They're still scoring despite the Knicks' solid defense. But even still, the Hawks is a good matchup for the Sixers. And now you look, then they'd only play either the Bucks or the Nets. When you look at both of those two teams, they have to play each other, then go through Philly just to make the finals. I do think this is going to be an incredibly amazing series with the Bucks and the Nets. I think it's going to go long. I think it's going to go 6. And I do think the Bucks are going to win. I'll explain that 30 minutes from now, why I believe the Bucks will take down the Nets. 2 reasons why. But I think the Bucks are going to beat the Nets. But with that said, I thought this series was going to be too draining, that they would be worn down heading to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Sixers. Sixers have home court. They're such a great home team this year. I picked the Sixers in part because of the way Embiid was playing this year. Not to mention, the road was easier for Philly than it was for either the Nets or the Bucks. But now when you look, Bucks get past the Nets in round number 2. Well, whoever wins, but if it's the Bucks specifically, you're going to go against now a hobbled Embiid, if he's even on the court at all. Small meniscus tear, there wasn't too much detail given by the Sixers outside of saying day-to-day, they're not going to do surgery. They're going to try to rehab it and try to have him play again this postseason. I don't know. You don't know. I don't think anybody knows when he can return, how effective he'll be, how long he'll be able to play, how that injury will truly affect his on-court play. He's been an MVP when he's not hurt. Can he maintain that level with a small tear in his meniscus? I wouldn't think so. Which is a huge break, a huge boost for the Bucks. Now, look, obviously they're not, out of the woods either. Injuries, the Dante DiVincenzo injury where he's out for the rest of the postseason, that stinks. That hurts them. But if we're comparing the Dante DiVincenzo injury to the Joel Embiid injury, yeah, I think the Bucks will take that trade-off every single time. So that's when you look at the East and the West, it's unfortunate that injuries have been such a major storyline and have impacted so many games and so many series. But this could be like the NFL. Healthiest team at the end is going to win, right? That's really kind of what the Super Bowl is, just this last year. Bucks came into the Super Bowl healthy as could be. When you look at the Chiefs, offensive line in shambles, missing both of their starting tackles, and as we saw what happened, Patrick Mahomes is running for his life. If they're all even, if everyone is healthy on both sides, I think the Chiefs would still win that game, to be honest. But they weren't. And the Bucks not only won, dominated. The healthiest team usually in the end is the one that gets it done. And when you're looking at that West right now, the Lakers having a ton of injury problems, the Suns having Chris Paul beat up, the Nuggets missing Jamal Murray when they were looking like a finals team with Murray and MPJ and Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic. This is shaping up very, very nicely for the Utah Jazz to make a run in the West and in the East. Man, Nets are healthy, and that is going to be a dogfight for Milwaukee in round number 2. But now with Joel Embiid having this major injury, to me, that opens up the road big time for the Bucks to capitalize and make their first run to the NBA Finals with Giannis as their guy. So to me, that's why the more I look at it, the more the picture comes, the more it looks like we're on a collision course for a Jazz-Bucks NBA Finals. Do you agree? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you seeing something I'm not? Totally possible, by the way. You easily could be seeing something I am not. But I think, to me, it has Jazz-Bucks written all over it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. Love to hear your thoughts. And please, if you want to yell at me for my voice, you are more than welcome to do so. It's actually a lot worse, I can't lie, than I anticipated. I haven't really been talking too much. I haven't heard my voice, and now that I'm hearing it for this last half hour, it's brutal. Combination of a very fun Memorial Day weekend, but also, too, did get the second COVID shot on Tuesday. So kind of bulletproof, invincible, no big deal. But that is one of the things now. Thankfully, it wasn't even hit too hard. Tired, groggy, almost in a fog yesterday where I kind of felt off, tired. But nothing of a rampant fever or chills or being bedridden like I know some other people were after receiving their second dose. But this is, I guess, one of the things we have to deal with. A scratchy, deep voice for at least the next hour and a half. Hopefully, next time we're on the show, which we're not on the show on Monday. One more vacation. I am sorry. I kind of loaded up 2 in 1. So we will not be doing the show on Monday. By this time next week, we'll be back here for a very, very long time. Starting next Thursday, every Monday and every Thursday. Hopefully by next Thursday, my voice will be healed and you won't be having to listen to this scratchy voice. Although maybe it's better because maybe you don't like my high-pitched voice. Maybe this works. Maybe this works. Maybe I'll have a deeper, scratchy voice more often. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Speaking of now, finals collision course. Who are you picking to go to the finals? To me, this says Bucks, Jazz, written all over it. I'd love to hear your thoughts again. Get involved. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. When we do return, some quick hitters. I want to talk about the Knicks and the Hawks series. That was a fun, chippy one that I did see the Hawks winning in 5. And also Coach K. The most impressive part of Coach K's coaching career. Tell you what that is when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time. It's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see. With an emoji. To stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. If you want to throw me a follow, I think you'll hopefully give you and provide some good content that you will enjoy. Make sure you're liking us on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. YouTube, same thing. Subscribe to us, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We are live on the tube as well. You can watch the Ryan Hickey Show or any of the great shows we have on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network on YouTube, just like you watch it on Facebook, just like you watch it on Twitter. Very, very, very easy. And speaking of easy, I don't want to brag here. I feel like the Worldwide Sports Radio Network as a whole, all of us here, Arrow Marks, Speedy Petey, all of the tremendous shows and talent that are associated with the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, we try to make your lives easier. Well, how do we do that? Thank you for asking. I'll tell you how. Downloading our app. Super simple. Worldwide Sports Radio Network have an Android. WWSRN for an iPhone. Type it in the app, either the App Store. Download it. That way, everything is at the touch of a button. Every live stream we do, every article written to the website, all of the content produced on the Worldwide Sports Network, whatever show you like, can be found on the app. Simple, easy. WWSRN for iPhone, Worldwide Sports Network for Android. That's how you stay up to date with everything with the Ryan Hickey Show has to do every Monday and Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Every single show we have on our network. WWE shows, fantasy shows, ton of great fantasy shows here every single day and night, weekend, weekday on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Hockey, basketball, baseball, you name it, we got it. Download the app WWSRN for iPhone, Worldwide Sports Radio Network for Android. Everything's right there. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. So, 20 minutes from now, 2 reasons why I do think the Bucks will take down the Nets in round number 2. I'll tell you what those 2 reasons are. The Celtics shake up their front office. I love the direction they're heading into. It reminds me of what one team did last year. And hint, spoiler, that one team that made similar changes are having a pretty damn good season this year. So I like the direction Celtics going in. We'll do that in 40 minutes, 10:20 Eastern from now. If you want to get involved in the show, Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, you can comment on the live stream right there. WWSRN_radio on Twitter. Or at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter. Both of those handles and accounts have the live stream there. Click on the live stream, boom. Comment on there or tweet us at our handles. Again, WWSRN_radio at Ryan Hickey Show. So I do want to get some quick hitters here before we get to the top of the hour. A major news day yesterday. Joel Embiid's injury significance, we found out. The Celtics, Danny Ainge retiring. Brad Stevens stopping coaching, going to replace Danny Ainge to be the president of basketball ops. A lot going on, and guess what? The biggest bomb, if you will, the biggest piece of news came out of Durham, North Carolina, and that was that Coach K will hang it up after this season. One last time coaching Duke, one last chance to win a title, and he will be retiring after this season. John Shire, already named coach in waiting, former player, current assistant coach on the Blue Devil staff, will now take over for Coach K after this season. I mean, obviously, as we know, an illustrious career for Coach K at Duke. This record, to me, honestly, I knew he was, obviously, we know he's the best coach of all time in terms of college basketball. But looking at the record still is just staggering. Coach K's record at Duke, he has 1,097 wins, 302 losses. That's it. A 3-1, a better than 3-1 win-loss ratio. That is pretty freaking good. As you know, 5 national titles, made the Final Four 12 times. His total, when you include his Army success, has 1,170 total wins, most in college basketball history for any coach. Men, women, D1, D2, D3. He has the record for most wins in college basketball history. All of those numbers, all of those records, all of those titles are obviously very, very impressive. To me, though, there's one thing to me that is the most impressive part of Coach K's career at Duke that isn't a stat per se, that isn't really X number of wins or X number of titles or X number of Final Four appearances. To me, the most impressive part of Coach K's insane tenure at Duke was his ability to adjust. And here's what I mean by that. Right? As we know, it is so hard for people to change what gets them there. For example, like even me, like I have a style in my mind that I think works for radio. I hope works. I hope you enjoy listening to. If one day I ever become super successful, whether it's a full-time job, whether it's a national job, whatever, if I'm getting paid to give my opinion on sports, I most likely will be doing it the way I'm doing it right now. Let's say for one day I make it big, top of the top, one of the best to ever do it. I feel like it would be hard for me to all of a sudden one day see the change that's happening and change the way I do the show to help it grow, help it get better. That's what Coach K has done. For all the success he's had at Duke, for all of the wins, all the national titles, the fact he was able to transition from the 3 and 4 year player to having kind of that Duke brand, if you will, where there's a certain type of Duke player that plays hard, that plays the system, tough defense, runs the system. Duke is bigger than the individual himself. For the fact that Coach K to build such a strong foundation, to basically build Duke to be what it is today on that principle, then the last decade of his coaching career, to see where college basketball is going, see how impactful the one-and-done player is in college basketball, to then adjust his coaching style, to adjust his recruiting style, to basically all of a sudden now go for and cater to players that will be there for 1 year. That is the most important, most impressive aspect of Coach K's career by far. By far. 2005, he was quoted on the record to reporters saying, "I will never, ever recruit a kid that would come to school for just a year." Those were not the Duke kind of players. He wanted 3-4 year guys. And as you know, for a while, he would get tons of talented players that would stay there for 3-4 years and then go to the NBA. The one and done truly wasn't as popular as it is now in the 90s when Coach K was truly building up Duke and winning those titles. So 2005, I will never recruit a one and done player. 2010, 5 years later, what does he do? Signs Kyrie Irving, knowing full well Kyrie was there for 1 year. He put the player ahead of Duke. He realized if I want to win championships, if I want to be relevant, if I want to make Final Fours, either I'm going to change my style Or these guys that go to Kentucky, that go to North Carolina, that go to UConn or whatever big powerhouse school, UCLA, we're going to be playing them and they're going to be beating us. We can no longer be relevant and competitive using the style that has been so successful that it got me 4 national titles. I can't tell you how impressed that is because we've seen so many coaches, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, get stuck in their ways. They don't want to update. They don't want to change or model the new, their coaching style to adjust it to what's going on and what wins today. Coach K did that. Look at Jim Boeheim. Similar, status at Syracuse. Been there for forever. Has a way. Has 2-3 zone. That's his thing. That's what wins at Syracuse. But guess what? What have we seen in the last decade? Not many talented players go to Syracuse. Syracuse isn't getting the recruits that they used to get. They won a title with Carmelo Anthony. Players don't want to play in that 2-3 zone. Jim Boeheim has failed to change his system to adapt to what players want to play in. And guess what? They haven't gotten a big-time recruit. Or if they have, they haven't kept him. Coach K, the fact that he won a national title in 2015 with 3 freshmen in the starting lineup that would leave after 1 year. I give him so much credit, and I am very, very, very impressed. To me, that is the most impressive part, the greatest part of Coach K's career. The ability to pivot from what got you there, to have the foresight, to have even the humility, frankly, to realize, hey, my system was awesome. We had so much success. We won 4 national titles, winning and doing the system one way. But if we want to win 5, we have to do it a certain way, a different way, a way that I honestly don't believe that is correct for college basketball, but he did it anyway in the one-and-done player. He has gotten a ton of recruits, obviously getting Zion to Duke, RJ Barrett to Duke, Jason Tatum to Duke. We have seen big-time players come out of the Duke program. Helped win a national title back in 2015 with the one-and-done. That, to me, is the most impressive part of Coach K's career. So the Hawks and Knicks series, I thought was one of the most entertaining series of the first round, despite the fact that it was a quick series. Hawks win in 5, and games 3 and 4, especially game 4, wasn't really competitive. So before we get to, we'll start with the Hawks. We'll start with the victors. So the victors go the spoils. I will give Atlanta, honestly, a lot of credit. Their defense was better than I expected. Frankly, their toughness was better than I expected, defensively. Now, it didn't help that the Knicks offensively were a sieve and Julius Randle couldn't hold on to the ball. But the Knicks had to work for every single shot. There wasn't many open threes that they took. There wasn't many easy drives to the basket. There wasn't many floaters that were there. The Hawks made the Knicks work for it on every single possession. Clint Capella, a tremendous rim defender, to not allow really any easy baskets, ate up any second chance opportunities with just rebound after rebound after rebound. Julius Randle had one of historically the most brutal shooting stretches you can have in the playoffs. Struggled mightily hitting shots all series long, in part because of the way Atlanta defended under Nate McMillan. And to also their credit, just as equally impressive, the fact they were able to hide Trae Young on defense as well as they did. Now, maybe in round number 2, we'll see the Sixers attack differently, and maybe it was more of a Knicks problem than the Hawks hiding him well. But that was a guy going into the series, I figured, every single possession, I don't care who has the ball. It could be Taj Gibson. If Taj Gibson gets matched up on Trae Young, you should give him the ball 60 times a game. Because that's how bad Trae Young is defensively. He might be, honestly, the worst defender in the NBA. But how many times do the Knicks get opportunities to expose Trae Young? 5? All series? Not many. Not many at all. I give Atlanta, especially Nate McMillan, a lot of credit defensively for not giving the Knicks any easy looks, protecting the rim great, and hiding Trae Young as well as they did to not have him be a liability on the court. And honestly, too, I picked the Knicks in 7. Obviously, very wrong about that. Part of the reason I picked the Knicks in 7, I just thought they were a tougher team, frankly, mentally and physically. They play a grinded-out style. Defensively, offensively, it's a very playoff basketball type of style the Knicks played in the regular season. I thought that would kind of translate well and give them a leg up over an Atlanta team that's young like the Knicks, not a lot of playoff experience like the Knicks, But when you're not used to kind of playing the playoff basketball style that is played, where it's tougher, it's more physical, it's chippier, I gave the advantage to the Knicks, and I was wrong. Toughness of the Hawks should absolutely be commended. They didn't back down if anything. They poked the bear. Clint Capella, after Game 4, heading to Game 5 on the road in the Garden, basically calling the Knicks out, calling them soft, saying they want to act like tough guys. They're not tough guys. They want to talk crap. They want to try to, body us around, try to do it because they haven't been able to do it so far, and they won't be able to do it again. Called them out saying, hey, we're coming here to your home to send you on vacation, and backed it up. 14 points, 15 rebounds. The Hawks, again, were giving it to the Knicks. Got in their own heads because at one point in the game yesterday, Knicks basically looked like all they cared about was trying to physically beat up the Hawks instead of worrying about scoring baskets. The Hawks deserve a lot of credit. Defensively, physicality-wise, they honestly own the Knicks in every single aspect. Didn't see it coming. Atlanta should be commended. Speaking of the Knicks, I will admit I did lose sight of the entire season yesterday. I do want to give them some credit. They deserve to be commended for the improbable season they had. Entering the year, zero expectations. Win 20 games, 25 games. Maybe, if everything breaks well, you'll be in the hunt for the play-in tournament. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, avoid the play-in tournament, get the 4 seed. They had an incredible regular season. I understand now it ended on a sour note, and in this world, and I'm guilty of it too last night, I felt frustrated. I felt disappointed. Julius Randle, obviously, for all the great he did in the regular season, winning most improved player, being the catalyst of the Knicks, especially their offensive leader, for him to struggle as mightily as he did for all 5 games, not great. Not the best taste to leave in your mouth when looking back on the season. But he was incredible this year. Incredible. Turned his entire career around. Now, we'll see. Maybe the postseason obviously has to hopefully now repeat itself if the Knicks do make the playoffs again with Julius Randle on the roster. But he was great this year. Tom Thibodeau, again, I'll be honest, I was wrong about Tom Thibodeau all season long. I wanted Kenny Atkinson to be the next Knicks head coach, the former Nets coach that built a core that was so desirable that saw KD and Kyrie go there, and then was even more desirable that saw James Harden wanting to play with those 2 guys. I like the development Kenny Atkinson brought to Brooklyn. I wanted that same thing for the Knicks. Forget chasing a superstar. Forget trading everything for Giannis or Damian Lillard or whatever superstar they wanted. I thought development was the route to go. Build some youth, build a nice core, and then be attractive. That's how you become attractive to free agents. And I thought Thibodeau wouldn't be one of those guys. I thought he honestly would fall into the same trap of coming in and wanting to bring in a mega superstar. Jimmy Butler, Bradley Beal, someone would make a big splash. And instead, he developed talent in a way that I didn't think he could. Defensively, obviously, they were tremendous. Best in the NBA regular season-wise, opponent field goal percentage, points per game allowed. Young players like R.J. Barrett had just totally blossomed in year number 2. Julius Randle, like we just talked about, best year of his career. Thibodeau really took this Knicks team to the next level, and it was incredible to watch. But with that said, obviously not the best taste in your mouth to end the season, but nonetheless, a successful, improbable, fun as hell season. I don't think anyone expected from the Knicks this year, and they should be commended for that. A lot of negativity on social media yesterday from yours truly, from yours truly as well. I'm guilty of it. Tweeting out my frustrations, being disappointed they weren't able to be tough enough. When you do take a step back, when you let the emotions, after the game kind of look away, you do have to look back on the season. And when you do reflect, it was arguably the best it could have gone. Only thing better would be if you advanced to the second round, but hey, we had, as Knicks fans, had our cake, ate it too for a little bit. That's all you can ask for. Improbable season comes to an end, but a fun and great season for the New York Knicks. So that'll do it for quick hitters, at least. And that'll do it for our number 1 right here of the Ryan Hickey Show on the Worldwide Sports Network. When we return, still a lot to get into here. The Celtics make a big move, a big shakeup. But I love the direction the Celtics are heading in. But when we do return, we have arguably the best series of the playoffs, of the entire playoffs, coming up starting on Saturday. Bucks, Nets. Round number 2. This could be, the winner could win the finals. This is going to be a knockdown, drag it out type of series. It's going to be so much fun. So who wins? I have 2 reasons. 2 reasons why I am picking the Milwaukee Bucks to take down the Nets in 6 games. I'll tell you what those 2 reasons are when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no 2 investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
welcome back in. Hour number 2 of the Ryan Hickey Show, going until 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on the World's Wide Sports Radio Network, coming to you live, as we always do, from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios. Whether it's great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners, check out BigItalyPizza.com for a location near you. Figured I'd play All the Small Things by Blink-182 coming back here. Not an accident. It's on purpose, because when we are looking at the series, arguably of the entire playoffs, getting set to start this weekend, Bucks and Nets. To me, the small things are going to make the difference in this series. And it's not just really basketball. I don't know about you, kind of small things do make the biggest difference for me. Whether it's going to a restaurant, let's say, right? And hey, you order the chicken or the steak, and maybe it's unlimited sides, or the sides of fries and potatoes and broccoli and greens are so good that kind of makes the meal. Hell, even, small vouchers or complimentary candy or something like that when you go to a hotel. The small things, honestly, for me personally, make the biggest difference. It kind of can elevate your mood in a good way, or take it down where you come away feeling a little disappointed, maybe not as good as you thought, because the small things do make the difference. And when you look at the Bucks and the Nets, two big-time teams with big-time stars, right? Obviously, the Nets have Kyrie, KD, Harden. You have Giannis, Chris Middleton. They acquired Drew Holiday. As you know, the Bucks really have kind of been knocking on the door. They've failed to break through in the postseason so far. This is a big matchup, and you can point to so many different things. But for me, the reason why I think the Bucks are winning in 6 games, why I think they are going to beat the Nets, is for 2 reasons, and they're both small things. These aren't, Giannis going off every game. This isn't, Kyrie struggling. It has nothing to do with really the big 3. 2 small things that I think are going to be the reasons in the end that we look back and say, oh, that's why the Bucks won. Rebounding, defense. Bucks do both of those things really well. Nets do both of those things really poorly. It's not sexy. It's not something you'll read in a lot of previews. It's not something that we'll be really breaking down a ton leading into this series. But I do think because of rebounding, because of defense, the Bucks will win and beat the Nets in 6 games. And here's why. When we look at rebounding, I want to take a quick look back here at the Nets-Celtics series. The Celtics had really no size on the court. And despite that, they still were able to hang with the Nets in terms of rebounding, in terms of keeping their own on the glass. The Nets only out-rebounded the Celtics in the entire series by 1 rebound. When you look at the offensive glass, this is really what I'm looking at here. This is really, to me, going to be a big factor. The Celtics, despite the fact that Robert Williams only played 46 minutes, one of the best big men, Tristan Thompson, Grant Williams, no offense to Grant Williams here. Grant Williams is the backup center for the Celtics. He is 6'6". 6'6". There's not much size in the Celtics team because of injuries, despite the fact that they had a 6'6" backup center on the court. The Celtics out-rebounded the Nets for the series on the offensive glass 63-52. Now, why is that important? Why are we talking about offensive rebounding in a massive series between the Bucks and the Nets? Because guess what? Offensive rebounding equals extra possessions, extra opportunities for the Bucks to score. What do we hear about with the Nets? Oh, man, defense doesn't matter. All that small stuff doesn't matter because the Nets, who's going to keep up with them? Who is going to score with the Nets? Well, guess what? When they are given extra possessions out, when you're giving the Bucks second chance opportunities on a regular basis, yeah, I think the Bucks are going to keep up with the Nets scoring-wise. I think they'll outscore them. Those extra possessions matter. And guess what? Not only is rebounding something the Nets don't do well, I think we'll come back to bite them in this series, rebounding is one of the best things Milwaukee does well. Celtics in the playoffs through 5 games were number 2 in offensive rebounds per game of all 16 teams. Number 2. Again, without having much size on the court. Number 2. Do you know who number 1 was? The Milwaukee Bucks, that's right. 15 offensive rebounds they averaged per game. 15 chances that they have to score second and third opportunity points, whether it's a 2, whether it's 3, whether it's getting to the line. They are dominant on the offensive glass. And not only do they get offensive rebounds themselves, they don't allow second chances for the Nets to have on the other end. Regular season, Milwaukee was number 1 in the NBA, the best team in the NBA in terms of defensive rebounding. In terms of total rebounding, number 2. Well, you know who's really struggled, especially on the offensive glass, who really struggles closing out and ending possessions after just one shot? The Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are tied for last in the regular season, not a small sample size of the playoffs and 5 games. The regular season, in 72 games, the Nets were tied for last in the NBA in terms of allowing the most second chance points. They were tied with the Pacers, on average per game, allowing the most second chance points in the NBA. So guess what? For all those naysayers picking the Nets to go to the finals, saying, Giannis, Embiid, whoever comes out of the West, it doesn't matter. No one's going to be able to score with KD, Kyrie, and Harden. You point to the big 3 scoring 100 points total combined in the series against the Celtics in one game. Awesome. Great. Guess what? The Bucks are going to have equal offensive success because the Nets are going to give them second and third chances. They are going to keep the Nets on the defensive side of the floor longer than Brooklyn wants to be. And speaking of defense, speaking of keeping the Nets on the defensive side, that brings me to point number 2. Because guess what? The Nets aren't a good defensive team at all. And defense does matter in the NBA. And again, let's go back to the first round series against the Celtics. The Celtics, as we know, were a mash unit. They were the walking wounded. No Jaylen Brown for the entirety of the series. Kemba Walker missed half the series with a knee injury. Robert Williams barely played. Well, when he did play in game 1 primarily, was an awesome rim protector. Despite the fact that 3 of the best 5 players, give or take, on the Celtics were unavailable for most, if not all, of the series, the Nets still weren't able to slow down Jason Tatum, the only threat. The last 3 games, games 3, 4, and 5, Jason Tatum scored 50 points in game 3, 40 points in game 4, 32 points in game 5. This is a guy where Jason Tatum was literally the only threat, the only guy the Nets had to worry about. They could have played 1-on-5 the entire series and still won in 5 games. Just don't let Jason Tatum beat you. He did in game 3, and that's why the Celtics got their only victory of the series. So if they couldn't even contain one player where the second best offensive option was Marcus Smart, how are they going to try and slow down a Bucks offense led by Giannis, followed up by Chris Middleton, and there's also Drew Holiday as well. And the Celtics in the series averaged 112.2 points per game in their 5 games. When you look at the Bucks, do you know who was the number 1 offense in terms of points per game in the NBA regular season? No, it is not the Nets. It is the Milwaukee Bucks. Top scoring team in the NBA, 120.1 points per game. Not only are they scoring a massive amount, they are also super efficient in scoring a massive amount of points. They are 3rd in the NBA in field goal percentage. They are 5th in the NBA in offensive rating. They are 5th in the NBA in terms of 3-point field goal percentage. This team can score when you only give them one opportunity down the court, when you don't allow them to get an offensive rebound, when you don't allow them to get a second and third chance. So what's going to happen when they do get those second and third chances? I'm telling you, I think the Bucks are going to win in 6. I'd love to hear your thoughts. You want to get involved, you want to yell at me, tell me I'm wrong, agree with me. Either one works. We will have a discussion. I would love to hear your thoughts. Get in the conversation on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show. Tweet me right on the live stream on Twitter, right on the live stream on Facebook. Who is winning this series, the Bucks or the Nets? I'm picking the Bucks in 6. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'm open to listening. I just look at the small things in this series, rebounding and defense. I think they both favor the Bucks in a massive way, and that is going to be the difference in this series in 6 games. Because also, speaking of defense, we just harped on the Nets defense not being good and how the Bucks offense can take advantage. They score with anyone. Again, the number 1 scoring offense in the NBA, and they are efficient in doing so. Top 5 in field goal percentage, offensive rating, 3-point field goal percentage. They don't need second and third chances, but the Nets are going to give it to them. But defensively, from Milwaukee's side, when guarding Brooklyn, again, all we hear about, who's going to slow down Kyrie, KD, and Harden? You can't do it. The three of them are superstars. They're going to average 90 to 100 points combined each and every game. Well, I'll say this. Defensively, Milwaukee matches up pretty damn well. Now, obviously, the last two postseasons, they have struggled defensively. Their system has been great. They will give you the three. It cost them the Raptors series 2 years ago. Last year, as we know, especially, he took it to a whole other level. They buried the Bucks. Here's the three-pointers. Milwaukee gave a ton of them, and they knocked down Miami, did a lot of them. But one of the things I was encouraged about, and I was interested to see with the Bucks heading, especially into the first round against the Heat, a team that gave them troubles, how would they adjust? The Bucks didn't race out and try to do whatever they could to get the number one seed. The regular season for the Bucks was a lot about trial and error, seeing what works, what could work offensively, defensively in the playoffs. And they wanted to make sure that their playoff type and their playoff style of basketball was working the best it could. Because the regular season, as we know, when they wanted to play their regular season style basketball, they got first in the East 2 straight years. No problem. But when it comes to the playoffs, they were exposed both years in a row with Giannis and teams picking them to go to the finals. So they have tinkered and adjusted. And I think those adjustments have been for the best. Because they really locked down the Heat in that first round. The best defensive rating of any team in the playoffs in that first round. They shut Miami down. In terms of the regular season, if you want, again, a bigger sample size, if you don't want to just look at one series with what the Bucks did to the Heat in terms of their defense being improved and better, fine. I hear you. No problem. Guess what, though? We do have some legitimate regular season data as well. Because the Bucks were top 5 defensively in terms of field goal percentage allowed by their opponent. So they will force hard shots, and they will not give any basket up to their opponent. Not to mention, look at straight matchups. They match up pretty damn well against the Nets. I think about it. You could put Giannis on KD. Giannis has the size advantage. Giannis has a strength advantage. He's still pretty mobile, pretty nimble, pretty quick. A great defensive player of the year candidate. He can match up against KD very well. You can put Chris Middleton on James Harden, 2 bigger body guards that could deal with this physicality. And you put Drew Holiday, a pit bull, a bulldog, a lockdown guard, on Kyrie. They match up really, really well with the Nets' big three. So it's not sexy. It's not a lot of stories you'll be seeing. But rebounding, defense are the 2 reasons why I'm picking the Bucks to win this series. I think those small things, and just like the sides at an all-you-can-eat buffet, or if you go to a steakhouse and you get 2 or 3 sides, or maybe some places unlimited sides, just like some vouchers on the side or free giveaways, or even opposite, small things that add up. For me, I know if you want to get negative here, missing the train, having the subway be late, having things pile up at work, it's all the small things combined together that really kind of make you explode. Good or bad. I think those small things are going to what make the Nets explode. I think the Bucks are winning this series in 6 because of rebounding, defense. Not sexy, not cool to really talk about, but just what's going to happen. So I'm taking the Bucks in 6. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree or disagree? If you disagree, why am I wrong? Why don't you believe the Bucks can win the series? Or why do you believe the Nets will win this series? Love to hear your thoughts again. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio. At Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. Bucks or Nets, who you got? When we do return, we'll get your thoughts. And also when we return, how about the team the Nets eliminated in the first round? The Boston Celtics. They made some big moves yesterday, to say the least. Well, I love the direction they're going in. And there's one team, to me, what Boston is doing that reminds me of from last year. And guess what? That team last year, finals favorite. Or a finals contender this year. That's why I love the way the Celtics are doing. I'll tell you who that team there reminds me of is next. When the Ryan Hickey Show returns, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. What a pretty boring day in Boston yesterday, huh? Celtics get eliminated from the postseason 2 nights ago, and they just go quietly into the night, quietly into the offseason they go. No major changes, no big shakeups, nothing dramatic. They are ready to get healthy, rebuild, and get ready for the 2021-2022 season. Yeah. Man, what a day it was yesterday in Boston. Danny Ainge retired. Brad Stevens all of a sudden stops coaching, becomes the now president of basketball ops, taking over Danny Ainge's role. And I'll be honest, seeing the changes that happened yesterday has me feeling the best I possibly could be feeling about the Celtics heading to next season. I love what they did. I think the two moves that they made, well, really the one move, for most importantly, and having Danny Ainge step away, is the best move the Celtics could have made to truly impact their 2021-2022 season. There's one team that reminds me of what the Celtics are doing now that they did last year that is a pretty good sign that things will be all right in Boston. The Philadelphia 76ers, I think, were in the same spot the Celtics were in now this time last year heading out of the bubble. Right, the Sixers, let's go back to even before they're eliminated in the bubble. Let's go back to the start of the 2019-2020 season. 2019-2020 season. Obviously, as we know, right, they get eliminated by the Raptors the year before that. High expectations, though, coming into that season. Number one, seed on the line, or expectations, I should say. They sign Al Horford, a big 4-year, over $100 million deal. But they fall on their face. They struggle. They were the 6th seed in the playoffs once the bubble playoffs did end up starting. As we know, they were swept by the Boston Celtics. First time the Sixers were swept in the first round since 1989. Things were dire. Things were not looking good. There was a possibility that the Sixers would break up Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Things were not pretty in Philly after last season. Well, how about the Celtics? Because similar to the Sixers, the Celtics coming into this season, the 2020-2021 season, the Celtics are coming off their 3rd Eastern Conference Finals appearance in 4 years. Again, expectations were high. And instead, just like Philly did the year before, they flopped. Fell to the 7th seed. We're fighting to get into the playoffs. I picked against them. I thought the Wizards were going to beat them, and the Celtics would be the 8th seed. But instead, they do win. They do end up being the 7. They lose to the Nets in 5. So going back to the Sixers, what did the Sixers do after the bubble last year? They made some sweeping changes, not to the personnel, but to the decision makers, to the front office. Brett Brown fired. They hired Daryl Moore to be the president of basketball operations. Elton Brand stays in as the GM, but really, Daryl Moore is the one calling the shots. They're able to get financial flexibility by shipping Al Horford, despite giving him a 4-year, $109 million deal just the year before. Cut their losses, traded Al Horford away, sent him to Oklahoma City, give them some cap flexibility. They were able, in doing that, to build some shooters. They brought in Danny Green. They signed Seth Curry. They were able to keep the core of Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris together. And what happened? They brought in Doc Rivers. Those small changes to, the periphery of the team by keeping the core together, changing some decision makers. The Sixers are now in first place in the Eastern Conference. Before the Embiid injury, I was picking them to go to the finals. I mean, they still could make it. But that torn meniscus has me a little worried. But even before that, they were, to me, my finals favorite. Well, now look at the Celtics offseason. As we know, Danny Ainge retires. Brad Stevens now was going to rise to Danny Ainge's role. New head coach coming in. Could Kemba Walker possibly have the same treatment that Al Horford did? There's 2 years, $73 million left in his deal. Maybe trade him, offload his contract, give yourself some financial flexibility. Because guess what the Celtics' problem is? Similar to the Sixers' problem 2 years ago. Really, last year. Celtics' problem now, compared to the Sixers' problem last year, it's the same. The talent isn't the issue. Both teams have foundational pieces on their roster. It is the help around them. Look at Jason Tatum. Right? Jason Tatum this postseason, without Jaylen Brown, without a lot of guys, without basically half the team banged up, playing against a team in the Nets that they had no chance of beating, still showed he could put a team on his back in the playoffs. He won one game, averaged 30 points per game in the playoffs. Made his second All-Star team in a row this past year. Jaylen Brown made his first All-Star team, really came into his own, really showed he could be the 1A to Jason Tatum in Boston. Career highs this year for Jaylen Brown in terms of points per game, field goal percentage, three-point field goal percentage, blocks per game, steals per game. This is a two-way player. Unfortunately, as we know, with the wrist injury, prevented Jaylen Brown from playing on the big stage on the postseason. But regular season-wise, at least proved he could be the 1A to Jason Tatum. So similar to the Sixers, who had Embiid, who had Tobias Harris, who had Simmons last year, the foundational pieces, the talent there, the core of your team isn't the issue. It's the role players that haven't been there to help elevate the team. It's the ancillary pieces that have really kind of not been picking up their weight, that have dragged down the Sixers. In part, also, there was some coaching there as well, but really dragged down the Celtics. And a large person to blame for that is Danny Ainge. For all the great moves Danny Ainge made, right? He had, obviously, as we know, that infamous trade of KG and Paul Pierce on the Nets for a bevy of picks that turned into Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. He made a trade for Kyrie Irving. Like, he did some really good things in Boston. But also, the last few years, he has really struggled in putting help around the talent he was able to have. Kemba Walker made that big trade 2 years ago to bring Kemba Walker from Charlotte to Boston. Well, this year, missed 29 games, including games 4 and 5 in the playoffs. He was supposed to be your point guard, your dynamic ball handler. Hasn't really been so. He's also been injured, and even when he plays, his knee is barking. He's not the same Kemba Walker. We kind of knew that wasn't Charlotte. You allowed Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, Kyrie Irving, Marcus Morris, all on the Celtics at different points throughout their careers, all have left the Celtics without getting anything back in return, one, or being able to replace the talent that left. Right? I mean, look at this Celtics team. They are beleaguered of talent outside of Jason Tatum, outside of Jaylen Brown. And a lot of that has to do, and a lot of that falls on Danny Ainge being unable to back up his players with some legitimate talent to take some pressure off and, again, elevate the team to another level. So I do trust Brad Stevens, now becoming basically the de facto general manager of the Celtics, that he will do a better job than Danny Ainge has the past 2, 3, 4 years of finding and identifying the weak spots of this team and putting talent around them to capitalize on Jason Tatum's rise to stardom, to capitalize on Jaylen Brown coming into his own this past season. It's not the main talent that's the issue. It's not Jason Tatum can't carry his own weight. It's not that Jaylen Brown can't be a 1A, sometimes even a 1 on a certain night if Jason Tatum has a night off. You have what teams like the Knicks are desperate for. Number one foundational stud, scorer, playmaker. You have, honestly, the hardest part of basketball is finding that guy to build around. The Celtics have done that. Danny Ainge has done that. What he's been unable to do is give them help. I think Brad Stevens having a new voice, a fresh outlook, not being a guy that's going to tell the media, oh, we were this close on this guy, we were that close on that guy, we just missed out on this deal and that deal. Celtics might be the best team in NBA history in coming in second in deals made, or second, coming runner-up to trades. Well, it's time to now start being the first place winner. It's time to now start actually pulling the trigger on those trades and identifying legitimate role players that can make this team better. So I do trust Brad Stevens that he knows the weak points. He even talked about in his press conference yesterday. Coaching the team since 2013, he knows what they do well, what they do really well. He knows, maybe unlike another GM coming from the outside, if you will, he doesn't have that coaching experience of being in the locker room, of trying to devise game plans for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He knows what his two-star players need. He knows which players work well, which players don't work well. I think that will benefit the Celtics in terms of roster building. I think they'll be smart in the next coach they hire. So I look at the Celtics feeling very, very confident because there's not much else they could have done. I think it would have been idiotic to trade Jason Tatum no matter what you get back. I thought it would be idiotic to trade Jalen Brown no matter what you get back. And when you look at the roster, there's no other pieces that are worth trading for. Marcus Smart's on the last year of his deal. He's not going to get a big haul. You're not going to get whatever foundational piece you're looking for back in a trade. You sign him to a max deal, okay, now you better hope that he can play a little better than they did this year and stay healthy. There wasn't many moves, if any moves, the Celtics could have made roster-wise that would have had me feeling better about them going to 2022 because they didn't have much flexibility. And realistically, they didn't have many options. But changing the guard, if you will, in the front office, getting a new mind, a different perspective, a fresh voice, even though it's still Brad Stevens, even though he's been in the organization for now almost a decade, just moving, chairs, if you will, or going from the court now to the luxury box. I do think that's going to bring a different perspective and truly do help the Celtics going in the future in a positive direction. Sixers did basically the same thing. They reshuffled their front office. They fired Brett Brown. They kept Elton Brand as the GM, but hired Daryl Moore to be the president of basketball operations. They brought in a new voice and kept the foundation they had in place of Embiid, Harris, Simmons. Small tweaks to the roster went from 6th place in the bubble and getting swept in the first round by the Celtics for the first time since 1989, last year, to this year being the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference and having a legitimate shot to make the finals. I think that's the turnaround Boston is capable of. I really do. Small things. Not blow it up, not start all over. Small tweaks are exactly what the Celtics need. They want to turn it around. They want to have success, and I do think that will happen. I'm fascinated to see who they hire. I do think this is going to be one of those hires that maybe is out of the box. Maybe it could be Becky Hammon. Maybe it could be an assistant coach or a head coach at college who wants to come in. I am excited to see kind of what Brad Stevens does because he's another guy that I think isn't afraid to go outside the box. And that is what works in sports leagues all over. No retreads, like a young, innovative head coach here who worked really well in Boston. Get them re-energized with a fresh voice, a new leader, calling the shots and finding the players and building the roster. I think yesterday was a great, great day for the Boston Celtics. Danny Ainge was incredible, and he deserves a ton of praise. His tenure as general manager of the Celtics was a massive success. Helped win a title back in 2008, made some incredible moves. Again, we're able to find 2 foundational pieces in Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown through essentially trading Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce at the end of their careers. He deserves a lot of credit for that. All that praise, all that credit does outweigh the last few years where talent has left the door. There's been a talent drain, and Ainge has been unable to identify role players to make this team better. The Sixers, to me, the first thing I thought of when Ainge said he was stepping away and Brad Stevens was taking his spot, the first thought that popped in my mind is this is what the Sixers did last year, and I thought that was a great move and really worked out for them in a positive way. I think the same thing can happen here in Boston. So up to your thoughts. Is this a good thing for the Celtics? Do you feel more confident in the Celtics this morning on June 3rd than you did on June 1st, on May 30th, on May 31st? I think this is a great day in Boston Celtics history. I think this will work out, and we will look back on this as a success. I do think Brad Stevens, as president of basketball ops, will help lead a title run to Boston, get them back to title contention sooner than we realize. So up to your thoughts. Do you agree or disagree? This is a bad day for the Celtics. Why? I'd love to hear why. Explain your reason. We're not going to yell at you. This is, I love having a conversation. I love hearing your perspective because sometimes I get lost in my own thoughts. Maybe I'm out of touch. I'm not seeing something because I am so zoned in or narrowed in on one aspect that I am missing maybe the obvious thought that you see that would change my perspective, or maybe hopefully if I can help change yours to see why I think it works if you're on the fence. That is what we try to do here on the Ryan Hickey Show. Discussion. I love it. I hope you do well. And the only way to do so, get involved in the show. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Ryan Eric. Comment right there on the live stream. Twitter, WWSRN_radio. At Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. You can follow us there. You can tweet us there. You can find the live stream of the show on those handles and send your tweets there as well. So we'll get your thoughts. And when we come back, in case you missed it to start the show, there is a funeral going on in Los Angeles. The Lakers are down 3-2 to the Suns. They play tonight. The Clippers are down 3-2 to the Mavericks. Any of those two teams, can they dig out of a 3-2 hole and advance to round number 2? We will discuss when the Ryan Hickey Show does return on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see. With an emoji. To stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Going until 11 a.m. Eastern. If you made it this far, thank you for dealing with my voice. It is hurting. We're trying to power through. Hopefully it's not too much of a nuisance for you. We won't be back on Monday. One last little mini vacation for a while. But we will return next Thursday, and I promise you by then, my voice will be 100% back to normal, and you won't have to listen to this raspy, voice that sounds like I smoked 100 packs of cigarettes over the weekend, which I did not. I promise you that. You wouldn't believe it, but I promise you I did. So I do want to circle back. We'll get into the LA team's future. One place tonight, one place tomorrow. Keep their season alive. But I do just want to quickly here, I came across this tweet. And I always want to bring this up. I love college football. I love I'll say this. I'm not a gambling man per se, right? I don't have a betting account. I live in a state that's not legal, but obviously, as we know, you can gamble in plenty of states that aren't legal. There's always a system. There's always a way. But I'm not a guy that gambles heavily, if at all. I do, though. I would never bet on like an NFL Sunday spread. I don't do basketball, especially games. But I do like, if I was to do it, and I've done it a few times, I do like futures. Win a championship, win totals. I love for whatever reason, I love win totals. I love future bets, and especially future bets to win a title, and especially future bets to win a title in college football. I love seeing the odds come out, and I love kind of seeing how Vegas believes some teams will do. And Brett McMurphy, Superbook Sports, put out their odds to win the college football playoff this year. He tweeted out a few odds here. No surprise, Alabama 9-5, the favorite. Shocker. Bryce Young, new quarterback, 5-star recruit, playing behind Mac Jones last year. He will now be the new signal caller for Nick Saban. Ohio State, which is interesting actually, at 5-2, considering their quarterback situation isn't exactly set in stone. It's not exactly Justin Fields coming to Ohio State. It's going to be, there's some questions there. I'm actually interested to see, but Ohio State second behind Alabama, 5-2. Clemson third, 9-2, 4-5, rounding out Georgia and Oklahoma, both 8-1. Two teams, I think, if you want to set your money on fire, if you want to flush it down the toilet, these are two teams that basically you can do that same equivalent with in betting on these two teams to win the national title. They are tied for the sixth best odds. Sixth best odds. So behind only Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, and Oklahoma. The next two teams, Vegas and Superbook Sports believes can win a title. Texas A&M, Texas. That's right. Texas A&M and Texas are only behind Oklahoma, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama in terms of being title favorites to win the college football playoff this year. Now, again, if you want to throw money on it, go for it. If you're an Aggies fan, if you're a Longhorns fan, go for it. I get it. Look, I see Penn State. I'm looking at 60-1, and I'm saying, hey, 60-1, not bad. I have Sean Clifford can play better. They can't play it. They can't play any worse than they can. Ohio State, maybe they don't have their quarterback situation figured out. Some good home games on the slate. Maybe Penn State can make a run here. So I understand that, hey, the alumni pride gets in the way and you drink the Kool-Aid. Trust me, I am one of the worst at believing in my teams, even when there's no shot. But if you want to put money, if you legitimately put money on Texas A&M or Texas to win the national title, you're better off flushing down the toilet. You're better off lighting it on fire. You're honestly better off just giving it to me. Venmo me the money. Ryan-Hickey-17 on Venmo. Shoot me the money that you're going to spend or you're going to gamble on A&M or Texas to win the title, because you have a better shot of getting returns and getting your money back by lighting it on fire, flushing it down the toilet, throwing it in the garbage, burying it, or sending it to me than you do putting money on those teams to win a title, because there is zero chance these two teams will even be in the discussion. Look, last year I understand A&M, great year, number 5 team. I didn't think they were deserving of getting into the college football playoff. Frankly, I didn't even really think they were that great, to be completely honest. I kind of thought that they were the benefit of a softer schedule, if you will. They had a nice win over Florida. Is Florida one of the better teams? Yes. Is Florida a college football playoff team? No. They got steamrolled by Alabama. And to me, that's kind of shows you where they are and how far still the gap is between A&M and being a legitimate title contender. But now you lose Kellerman. You lose a lot of starters. Same thing with Texas. I understand Steve Sarkisian comes in here. There's always a lot of hype for a new coach. I just don't see, especially just the quarterback position alone, where A&M or if you're Texas, you feel confident in throwing down 30-1 odds to win money. And throwing down money to think those two teams will win a title. Now, it does also have that college football super top heavy where basically there's not really worth betting outside of Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson. There's not many teams you feel good betting on to win a title because it's going to probably come down to those three teams again. But I'll tell you two teams that I certainly am not doing. A&M, Texas. Thanks, but no thanks. I'd rather light my money legitimately on fire than put money on them to win the title. Just went through that. I thought that was interesting. And again, maybe that's Vegas playing to the large alumni bases, the passion that they two have, and just trying to get some sucker bets? Possibly. But in terms of actually trying to win that, 0-0 shot. Speaking of winning here, we'll transition back to NBA. We'll transition back to kind of the main story that we talked about earlier today. The Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers are both down 3-2 in their respective series. Both were tied at 2 games each. Both lost Game 5. As history goes, 82% of the time when a series is tied at 2-2, the winner of Game 5 wins the series. So 82% of the time, Game 5 winner wins the series. So that means the Lakers and or the Clippers are going to have to make history if they want to advance to round number 2. I don't think either of them will. I think the season's over for the Clippers. I think the season is over for the Lakers. For the Lakers, as we know, the season goes as Anthony Davis goes. Especially with LeBron's injured ankle, the Lakers went as AD went. We saw it just in the small sample size of this year's playoffs against the Suns. The 5 games that we have seen, when Anthony Davis has been dominant, when Anthony Davis has been vintage Anthony Davis, the Lakers are 2-0. Games 2 and Games 3, AD scored 34 points in each of those games. He was dominant. He came out motivated. He came out to show he was one of the best players in the NBA. The issue is when Anthony Davis struggles, when he is out with injury, the Lakers have no shot. AD couldn't hit water from a boat. He was thrown brick after brick. They lose Game 1. DeAndre Ayton played way better than him. Game 4, first half, AD doesn't play great. Actually, really struggled. Go to halftime losing, gets hurt, doesn't come out for the second half. Suns win, eat up the series. Go back to Phoenix. AD doesn't play in Game 5. They get annihilated. And not only did they get annihilated, they got embarrassed, quite frankly. They didn't show up. They looked like they had no business. The Lakers looked like they knew the game was over before it even started. LeBron wasn't hustling. There's no fire. There's no intensity. There's no sense of urgency in the Lakers' eyes in Game 5. And the Suns took advantage, took them to the woodshed. So tonight, season on the line, game number 6 in LA, Lakers-Suns tonight. We still don't know the status of AD. He is questionable. Anthony Davis yesterday said that the decision whether he was going to play or not, it's not up to him. It's up to the medical staff of the Lakers. Dealing with a strained groin, also has a sprained knee, also dealing with, as we know, the first injury that put him out for 9 weeks was the Achilles injury. A lot going wrong with the lower body of Anthony Davis. Humpty Dumpty. I'll give my guy Stu Kovacs here. I don't think he's actually ever been on the show. He works nights at CBS Sports Radio. He's a producer for the JR Sport Brief show after my show with the Zach Gallup show at our full-time jobs. So Stu is never really up early, so we haven't had Stu on the show. He is a big Lakers fan. Big, diehard Lakers fan. I'll give him a lot of credit. The nickname he gave Anthony Davis, Humpty Dumpty. Because every single game, there's always some sort of injury. There's always some sort of bruise or strain or collision that has you holding your breath that AD is going to be out for a while. And right now, the latest one is a groin. And even if he does return, right? If he doesn't play tonight, I don't think the Lakers are winning. I don't think the Lakers are winning in part because if he doesn't play, LeBron James isn't to the point health-wise where he can go beast mode, where he can put the team on his back and lead them to a championship. We've seen it happen in Miami, in Cleveland the first time, and the second time. We've seen it in LA as well. LeBron has that gear where he can elevate his game to a level that even though he's the only one playing, essentially of talent, he can will his team to a victory. The issue is, though, we've seen LeBron has not been 100% in this playoffs. The ankle will still bother him. He doesn't have the explosion, doesn't have the takeoff, still doesn't have the full arsenal that he has had and we've seen in the playoffs time and time again. So I don't think if AD doesn't play, he'll be able to put the entire team on his back and will the Lakers to a victory. And if AD does play, I don't think he's going to be effective enough to where he can dominate like he did in Game 2, like he did in Game 3, that led the Lakers to victories. So whether he plays or not, I think the season's over. I do. The Lakers go as their most important player goes this year, which happens to be Anthony Davis. LeBron is the face of the team. He is still one of the best players in all of the game. Even maybe you make the argument when healthy, LeBron is still right now at this point slightly better than AD. But the issue is they're both unhealthy. When AD is still at 100% playing, he is great this year, better than LeBron. This year with the ankle injury. As we saw in the playoffs, it wasn't LeBron having these tremendous games. It was AD. That was the difference. Now, AD out, no shot. Series is over. Season over for the Lakers. For the Clippers, I mean, I was a believer. I sat here and told you the Clippers are going to go to the finals. I might even pick them to win the finals. I think I did, actually. I truly sat here and thought, no way with the lack of chemistry, with the same, I'm not going to call them stupid, but almost trivial issues that kind of kept popping up with the Clippers last year, that part of the reason that led to their demise and blowing a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets. I call it, all right, no way that they're going to allow that to happen again. First time was embarrassing. The first time you don't want to see, it was kind of brutal. They got the memes out there. They got the jokes. It wasn't pretty. But I didn't think that this would actually happen again. And guess what? It looks like it's happening again. Because there's another game last night. Game number 5, tied 2-2 on your home court. Chance to take a commanding 3-2 lead. Chance to really kind of right the wrong and maybe erase some doubt that crept in earlier in the series when they lost the first 2 at home. And there was no still sense of urgency. This team is still lackadaisical. The defense still stinks. And even last night, where Luka Doncic plays out of his mind, dropping 42 points, 14 assists, and playing a tremendous game to the point where the Mavericks, think about this, as a team for the entire game, the Mavericks only scored 6 buckets from the field that weren't either assisted or scored by Luka Doncic. Think about that. He was the team yesterday. He was out of this world. And even with that incredible stat line, even with those incredible mind-blowing stats and the fadeaway shots and the threes and the daggers he was dropping, that fourth quarter couldn't have gone any worse for Dallas. They couldn't close. Turnovers, missed shots, shot clocks, out of bounds. They weren't good. They let a 17-point lead get whittled down to 1. The momentum was there for the Clippers. They had a chance to take over, steal a game in which Luka was going off, and I think steal the series if they won that. But instead, you had a missed layup from Nick Batum that could have put them ahead. You had a missed 3 from Kawhi Leonard in the corner that could have tied the game late. The Clippers aren't clutch. The Clippers aren't clutch. They don't have that guy right now that could will a team to victory, just not even physically, emotionally. Emotionally. There's a few times where I can't lie, I was already writing the Clippers off, starting to write the segment for this morning when it was up 17, up 15, even up 10. And there was a few times where the Clippers went on a run to get it down to 4, get it down to 1. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to basically erase this whole segment and start over again. It's 1 a.m. I want to get to bed. I'm exhausted. And now the Clippers are going to have this incredible comeback where I basically had to change the entire open of the show. But then I can't lie. I'm sitting there. I'm like, wait a second. This is the same Clippers team that can't close. This is the same Clippers team that I believed in. Then watching Game 2 show no heart, no motion, no urgency, loss. I said, oh yeah, this is the same Clippers team that's going to do what they did last year. I wanted to believe they were different. I wanted to believe in the Clippers, and I did believe. So far this postseason, they have given no reason to believe, and that happened again last night. Down the stretch in a game, the Mavs were desperate to give away. They still couldn't take the game. Couldn't take the game. So their season's over. I have zero belief they can go and win 2 games in a row, one at home and one on the road. I know they just won 2 in a row in Dallas. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think the Clippers season is kaput. Another year where they don't make the Western Conference Finals. And I will go and make the argument. Others have said, and I would agree. This year, this playoff exit is even more embarrassing for the Clippers than last year in the bubble. More embarrassing than blowing a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets is getting bounced in the first round to a team you tanked to play, by the way. The Clippers could have played the Lakers. They could have played the Blazers in round number 1. Instead, they lost the last 2 games of the regular season on purpose to match up with the Mavericks. They wanted the Mavericks, they got the Mavericks, and guess what? The Mavericks are giving it to them now. I think this series is over. Mavs win in advance, Suns win in advance. LA basketball is going to have an early summer. Both teams, first round exits. Clippers are done, Lakers are done. Speaking of being done, this show is done. So is my voice, by the way. Thank God we made it to 2 hours here. I don't know if I could do any more. The voice is done. The show is done. Now, again, one more off day here. I know the show's kind of been choppy the last week or so. Missed Monday show. We will not have another Ryan Hickey show again until next Thursday. I'm off again on Monday. Little Ocean City trip, seeing some friends from college, and having a, as we would call it, bad guy weekend. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So no show on Monday. We will be back on Thursday, and we will get back to our regular schedule starting on Thursday. So every Monday, every Thursday. But again, this upcoming Monday, no show. Back after that, starting a week from today, right here on the Worldwide Sports Network. So make sure you're liking us on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, following us on Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show, if you want to throw me a follow as well on Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube, Worldwide Sports Network. WorldwideSportsNetwork.com is our great website. And most importantly, our app, WWSRN for iPhone, Worldwide Sports Radio Network for Android. So that'll do it for this edition of the Ryan Hickey Show. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully it's a nicer weekend than Memorial Day was. Have a great summer weekend. Stay safe, stay sane. We'll talk to you next Thursday right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports